Their job was to spy out the city. They went into the city. The rest of them stayed outside in fear of the giants that they saw inside the city. Later on.
Thank you all for coming. And I invite you all back 3 years from now to the Goodbye Hollywood, Hello Efrat return. I'm going to read a small... What? Definitely. I'm reading a short note from Rabbi Riskin, who unfortunately couldn't make it. He's on a world tour, and he only trusts me to read this. To Shmuel Grunwald, whoever that is. I guess that's Sammy Miami from Efrat, Israel. Dear Shmuel, I want to wish a beloved student and most accomplished statesman a bon voyage and seitchem l'shalom as the Consul General to Los Angeles. How in the hell did he get a job like that? I mean, I'm a pizza man. This guy sells used cars. This guy's a showmare. This guy's a doctor. This guy's a plumber. You know, Consul General, whatever that means, of the state, for the state of Israel in L.A. That's a title and that's a job. But I'm going to tell you why and how and when Sammy Miami got that job. It was January 15th, 1993. He was playing for the Pizzeria Efrat, undefeated, 11-0 football team that was playing in the championship for the Holy Lamb Super Bowl of the state of Israel.
Who was the quarterback?
He's talking. And I get a call about 9 o'clock that Friday morning, and Sammy says to me, I can't play. I can't come to the game. I said, Sammy, I didn't read that, first of all, you must be calling me from heaven, because I didn't know that you had a levaya, but if you didn't die, you're playing. He says, I was called to Miloim, regular army at Dahesha in 1993, and my lieutenant won't let me out. I said, let me speak to him. He said, I've heard you for years in the huddle, and I'm not about to let you to speak to my, the IDF is not ready for you. I said, okay, Sammy, I'm going to tell you exactly what I want you to say to him. I want you to say that the owner and the quarterback and the captain of the Pizzeria Efrat football team is going to come here at 10 o'clock in the morning to pick me up for the 12 o'clock championship game. And he promises me that you will be back. I'll be bringing you back a half hour after the game. And I'm the starting tight end and the defensive back. And my captain says to me, if I can't come to the game, we're going to lose. And then I said, Sammy, you tell this lieutenant that if he thinks that the Arabs there are a problem, if you're not ready at 10 o'clock, he's not going to know what hit him. And the diplomat, statesman, Sammy said to me, I think I'm going to leave that out. 15 minutes later, Sammy calls me, said, I'll be there at 10 o'clock. I picked him up at Dahesha, January 15th, Friday morning in 1993, with Aryeh Bauman, with Shlomo Ben-Zev, with Gobart, all of my kids that could fit in the van, the team van, and we picked up Sammy. We get to the game. We moved the ball down the field. We played Zion Tours, which we had beaten in this season. We moved down the field. The first drive, I get to the 1 yard line. I throw an interception, and the guy runs it back like 20 yards. At the half, we were losing by 2 touchdowns. The team was all shook up. At the halftime, I said to the team, defense, they aren't going to score, and offense, we're going to score. It was 2 minutes left in the game, and we were down by 5 points. We got the ball back, and I looked in the huddle, and I saw Yehuda Cohen and Akiva Aronson and our 2 best wide receivers. They were shaking like a leaf. We had like a minute and a half left in the game, and I turned to Sammy, who's only had gone short passes. I said, Sammy, I want you to run 5 yards to the flat. I'm going to fake to you and then go long. I'm going to throw you a 50-yard pass. You're going to catch it at the 10-yard line, and you're going to win the game because nobody's going to expect you to go long. We went 5 yards, pumped. I threw him the longest, most perfect spiral I'd ever thrown in my life. He caught it at the 10-yard line, and we won 22-19. Because of Sammy Miami. Sammy, on that one play, carried the 13 Pizzeria Frat football players on his back. And because of him, we wear the ring, we have the medal, and we have the undefeated champion trophy because of Sammy Miami. And that's why Sammy is the next Consul General of LA, because he's a winner. And he can carry the state of Israel on his back. And I invite you all to be back here 3 years from now, exactly, on Sammy's return for another party. And good luck. And everybody was jumping on him, and he moved everybody to the side, and it said, a perfect spiral. Now I want to introduce a former friend of Sammy's, a guy who's all talk and has done nothing in his life, Daniel Diker.
Marvin, it's not Consul General, it's Consul General. But that's okay, because it's not connected to the spiral. Sammy, I want to congratulate you for accepting to be the Los Angeles representative of Jewish Lives Matter. It was so kind of you to take a $142 a week salary for the next 3 years. You're a good man. We love you. Most of you don't. I just want to tell you that a lot of this is, I take the responsibility. It's my fault that Sammy even got involved with diplomacy and Jewish politics. He was minding his own business. He's a highly trained, highly respected attorney and an MBA, and he was doing, great things. He came to Israel, and I had been asked by Ronald Lauder to be involved with the World Jewish Congress, which I didn't know about, and I came to Sam for advice. Said, should I take the job? And we spent many hours in his apartment, which was up the street right here, at the head of the street, and at some point, I asked him, I said, well, what are you doing? He said, I'm doing real estate. I said, well, how would you like to do Jewish things? And he said, well, I'll think about it. And I was very lucky because Sam joined the World Jewish Congress, and he was the deputy director of the Israel office and the chief of staff of the whole organization. And he kept us on a straight and narrow path for a number of years. And then I left to do other things, and he took the reins and became really highly respected diplomat, public diplomat in Israel. And I think that today, there's really a challenge for Israel abroad, as everybody knows, that the American Jewish community does not have a strong identity, not a strong Jewish identity, certainly not a strong pro-Israel identity. And we really, I think there's already a buzz, from what I understand, in Los Angeles, the fact that Sammy and Julia and the children are coming as a great example of the best that Israel can be. There's already a buzz that there is an observant Jewish Israeli, soon to become just an Israeli, that within 24 hours Sammy's going to... Are you Jewish? Oh, Jewish Israeli. Huh? Alhamdulillah. And that means that tomorrow Sammy will have to give up his American citizenship in order to take the job, which is I guess it's a pretty big sacrifice, isn't it? But I can't think of a better person to a better person to go to the front lines of America, and it really is the front lines, because there are some really tough challenges out there, and people out there, columnists out there, who are questioning the very legitimacy of the Jewish state. And I think Sammy represents the best of what Israel not only is, but could be. And I think we all, I mean, you don't know this, Sammy, but for the guest room in the house, there's going to be a rotation. Everyone here gets a week timeshare in your house, just to make sure you don't get sucked up into the LA culture. And well, we wish you well, and I give you my blessing, and I'm very honored that I had the opportunity to work with you. And I think you're going to do a great job, and Julie's going to do a great job as your partner and the kids. And I think that LA will emerge 3 years later with a much stronger identity than they have today when it comes to Israel. So congratulations.
טוב, אנחנו קצת נשנה את הטון בעברית, בסדר? קצת עברית. אנחנו במדינת ישראל בכל זאת. אני מתחיל במשפט קשה מאוד. כצינת שלג ביום קציר, ציר נאמן לשולחיו, ונפש אדוניו ישיב. מי שרוצה לדעת מה משמעות הדברים, שיפתח בספר משלי, פרק כ"ה, פסוק 13. שמואל, אתה יוצא לארץ לא זרה לך. אתה יוצא מטעם מדינת ישראל. אתה יוצא מטעם ארץ ישראל. אתה יוצא כקונסול. בעברית צחה, קונסול פירושו ציר, ולכן אמרתי גם קודם ציר. משפחתך, ג'וליה והילדים יהיו איתך, חוץ מאלישע כנראה. אתם חוויתם את חוויית ארץ ישראל, ותוכלו לשיר כמו אריק איינשטיין ז"ל, כמה אני אוהב אותך ארץ ישראל. אני מקווה שכולם מכירים את השיר. שמואל, אם כל שנה תגרום לכך שיהודי אחד יעלה לארץ ישראל, שכרך הרבה מאוד. משפחה נחמדה וחביבה, ג'וליה והילדים, צאו בשלום ושובו בשלום. אנחנו נחכה לכם. יש פה עוד משהו אחד שרציתי. אני רוצה שתשים את זה על השולחן שלך בעבודה. זה לוח מארץ ישראל. שולחן על לוח. ועכשיו אני מצטט רק קצת חסידים. אתה נמצא במקום בו נמצאות מחשבותיך. ודא שמחשבותיך נמצאות במקום בו אתה רוצה להיות. כה אמר רבי נחמן מברסלב. תודה רבה.
I didn't understand a word, but I'm sure it was great. Our last speaker before Sammy the Great, Sammy Miami, is a man who, thank God, started the American Football League in Israel. And it's brought so much of importance to our family and to most families that we have a chance to have the agony of defeat and the ecstasy of winning because of him. But I just want to say one thing. Once we started the Football League, and I would say to my wife, "I love you, Ann," she would say, "You don't love me. You love playing football." Steve Leibowitz.
I'm not going to tell you some of the football stories because Marvin already did that. But I just want to say that I remember Sammy Miami as a young kid, obviously. There were hundreds of football players and me, who was the organizer of it all. This was a kid with something special in his eye. A love of the game, a love of life, a love of being in Israel, of just having the opportunity to be here at a time when we're living in a free country, which I was just talking before to Ephraim Zurov, as you all know, Zelo Muvan Me'elav. The fact that we have this country is something special, and Sammy had that spark in his eyes, and it was shocking to me when just a few years later I heard that Sammy was leaving the country. He was going back to Miami. He was going back to university. And to me, this was tragic. First of all, we were losing one of the best football players in the country. Secondly, he might decide to stay there. It happens. I've known so many others that left for a little while. They got comfortable there, they got their educations there, they got jobs there, they became big, fancy lawyers with suits and ties, and it became a place that they decided to stay. And this was a kid that had to be here. And it was with great joy, some years later, that we were on hand just 7 years ago. A little bit older, but as soon as I saw him land in the country, I said, "You're not too old. You're getting back in uniform, you're going back on the field, and you're going to play another season," because I remember just how great you were, and those glory days, you know, sort of wasted away in Miami Beach. So he came back, he put back the uniform on, and he got out there to play again, hurt his back, and hasn't been on the field since then. But we decided at a certain point that this guy was such a special player, even though he wasn't with us for such a long time. He made a great impact. He was on 2 teams that were undefeated, won 2 championships. Literally one of the great receivers we ever had in the country. Great hands, great moves, quick, fast. And I informed him that he was being nominated and becoming a member of the Hall of Fame that we had formed. Not that many people are members of the Hall of Fame. Maybe in total there's 30. He was so happy. He seemed so honored. He said, "When is it? I want to bring my whole family. We're going to come out. I'm really, really looking forward to this." So then, last thing I want to tell you is, I wasn't surprised at all when I heard that he was going to become Consul General of Israel. Because out of those few people that are members of the Hall of Fame of our Football League, one of them is Ron Dermer, the current ambassador to the United States in Washington. Another member of our Hall of Fame is Eli Groner, currently the Director General of the Prime Minister's office.
And Mordecai Goodman, the pizzeria fry.
It's almost a prerequisite. In order to reach the top of government in this country, you have to be a member of the Hall of Fame of American football in Israel. Sammy, I know you're going to do great things in Los Angeles, but there's one thing I want to say. This is the real sacrifice. And that's his family. His family is once again being, excuse me for saying it, being ripped out of the land of Israel, the land that we all love so much. This is a guy that wants to be here. I spoke to his wife earlier. I met one of his girls. They want to be here. One of his sons is going to be staying here to go into Hesder Yeshiva in the army. He's going to basically be a lone soldier in a way. This family is giving a tremendous sacrifice. Going to Los Angeles is no bargain. The United States that we remember from the old country, it's not necessarily the golden Medina that it was once upon a time. This is the golden Medina. This is the place that Sammy is going to be back in 3 years, and we look forward to having you back here.
Okay, that concludes our program. We have more pizza and Ben & Jerry's ice cream coming shortly, and there'll be more pizza. Nobody's going to leave here hungry, except we now call on Sammy Miami.
Thank you. Thank you, Marvin. Forgive me. First of all,
We'll wait till the Jets go.
We'll wait till the Jets. You know, I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. You had to say Jets. Thank you. Forgive me. I'm just gonna look here a little bit only because you know, I'm really moved by this this event, and I'm quite emotional, and I just want to make sure that I don't forget anything that I wanted to say. First of all, פותחים בכבודה של אכסניה, and I want to thank Marvin and Ann for hosting this event.
It's nothing.
I want you to know that when my appointment was announced in the beginning of April, Marvin was one of the first people to call me. And I have to tell you, he was so sincerely excited. He almost jumped through the phone. And you know, the same way that you hear him speaking and you feel his love and his excitement, that's how it was that night, and it means so much to me. And I think it's also so fitting that we're having this here. Marvin just called me a week ago, right before I just came back from a few days in LA to get ready for the new position. And just before I went out on the trip, Marvin called me, and he mentioned that he wanted to do this together with Dan Diker's help. I thank very much. I'm going to get to Dan in a second. Marvin says, Dan, you didn't help enough.
He helped plenty.
There's still time. He could still we'll see how he clears up at the end. I think it's so fitting that we're having this here because my experience in Israel started right here in Efrat. I mean, besides the Zionist Tzioni education that I got at home from my father, Zichrono Livracha, I came to Efrat in 1990 when I was 17 years old. I was in the yeshiva here in Efrat with Dan, and learning with Rabbi Riskin and Rabbi Bravender, and walked into the pizzeria Efrat one day, and Marvin looks at me and he says, "Do you know how to catch a football?"
If not, I'll teach you.
And that was 26 years ago. And
Who's counting?
And who's counting? But it's not just that. When I look around the room, when I look around, and here I have to be careful because I'm not going to mention everybody. But there are so many things. When first of all, I met a gentleman here just tonight, Aryeh Kestenbaum, who I never met before, and Aryeh heard about this farewell gathering tonight from Marvin. He heard the last name. He came up to me a few minutes ago and said that he went to summer camp with my late father in 1942 in Camp Masad. And for me, that's it's very moving. My father has been gone now for about 18 years almost, and he would be very proud. So this is really kind of a closing circles of sorts to look around. I rented a room when I was in yeshiva from Goldbart's here on Rehov Rut. I mean, it's so fitting that we're having this here with all of you before I go out on this very important position. First of all, I want to say that I had prepared a Dvar Torah, but Rabbi Schreier said what I was going to say. Exactly. So I'm going to skip ahead of that. First of all, it's so nice to hear all the nice things that were said. As the saying goes, it's a shame my parents aren't here because my father, Zichrono Livracha, would be very proud, and my mother would believe every word of it. Actually, I wasn't sure how I was going to dress coming over here. We really did not coordinate this. And it's true that both in my current job and certainly
I trusted you to wear the right clothes.
certainly in the next job, it's a lot of suits and ties. But I knew to pull out my early 1990s, it already has holes in it, jersey. And my fellow teammate over there, Aryeh Bauman, who we played together in the early 90s, who lived also on Rehov Root back then. I want to thank also Dan. Dan Diker mentioned how he played an instrumental role, or I want to say how he played an instrumental role in my getting to where I am and going to this position, because you heard a little bit about my career path, if you can call it that. It was kind of changing directions every few years. And the last change that I made was really because of Dan. And I really have a lot of hakarat tov, not only as my good friend and brother and mentor, but really want to thank you very much, Dan. A lot of things have been said about the job. I don't take very lightly this position. Some people here going to LA, Hollywood, the weather, and we certainly plan on enjoying all of that. And just to quash the rumors, it's true that Hawaii is part of the region, and Julia and I are going to have to, on your behalf, probably visit Hawaii once a year. So we thank you for sending us there. I know, it is a sacrifice. This, first of all, I also am glad that it was said straight for the record that it's Consul General and not Counsel General or General Counsel, because it gets confusing, especially since I practiced law before this, and everybody seems to confuse that. But I just want to say this to all of you here, and I'm taking Marvin up on his promise that we're going to reconvene here in 3 or 4 years, because there's an option for a 4th year. So we'll say 3 years. Okay, 3 years. But you all agree that we are reconvening and Marvin and Ann are hosting?
We'll be here 3 years with or without you.
Okay. Julia and I and our kids, our family, we really do hope we understand the gravity of this position and what it means. We don't take it lightly, and we really hope to make you all proud that we will not only be representing Israel, but we'll be representing Efrat as well. And we hope that we'll be able to reconvene here and do the kind of job that will make Marvin say that he's as proud of us in that job as he was when I caught that touchdown in January of 1993.
Never. That was it.
What? Well, you have 3 years to get it. So really, thank you all very much, and come visit us in LA.
Help yourself to pizza and Ben & Jerry's ice cream.